And welcome everyone to another exciting adventure on the energy that surrounds us. I'm your host, Michael. And tonight's guest, I've been talking with her backstage and we've been like cutting up. So you guys are in for a huge treat tonight. We got some really cool topics we're going to be bringing up for you all. So, with that being said, I am going to turn it over to my guest to introduce herself because if I was to read that bio, I just would not do justice to who she is and what she does. So I'm going to turn it over to the one, the only, funny, amazing Alicia Rawson.
Wow, funny, amazing. I think so too. No, just kidding. Hi. Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, my name is Alicia and I am a working psychic medium. I work on many different platforms, finding missing people, connecting with your loved ones. Um, I am a Life Path 2911. And what that means is literally I'm just a walking portal. So if you want to talk about crazy shit that goes on, well, here we are. It gets pretty wild out there. I
I can
also run a
imagine.
business. Yeah. I also run a business called Starship Temperance. Starship with two R's and then Temperance like the tarot card. Um, so you can find me at starshiptemperance.com or on all of the social medias as well under Starship Temperance.
Very cool. And so, what got you started with Starship Temperance and how that name came to be? Like, with you deciding to put the two R's in there.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. I'm a Libra. So my birthday is actually tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday.
I have stars tattooed on my body. I never understood why. But as I started doing my awakening and getting more into it, I realized that Libra's sign are stars. And so I have star and then I have mediumship, right? So I'm a mediumship, but I'm also a Libra sun. So I have stars. So that's how starship came about is the Libra with the mediumship kind of mixed together.
That's pretty cool because my mind was going like, oh, like star beams and like UFOs and all that, thinking, okay, we're going for a ride at this place.
Oh, we're definitely going for a ride. That's not that's not an issue. And also, sorry, excuse me, I've been getting over the flu. I had the flu for the last 5 days or more, so it's been a fun ride with that as well.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thanks. Yeah, Starship, UFOs. I have a deep connection. I want to talk about UFOs. Like, I I feel like okay because I live in Jamaica, right? Um, and I live on the sea. I see a lot of different things, and I feel like the whole thing started actually when I was like 10 years old. And I was with my family and we were in Fairleigh, Vermont, and we were going to the drive-in. And we were on Interstate, I guess it's 91. And we were on Interstate 91. And I remember my dad, are you watching? Because you have to remember this too. Because we were all in the family car going to the movies, and there everybody there's like all these cars pulled over on the side of the interstate and everybody's like pointing up and we look up and I saw two disc objects and one of them like went like this and then the other one went like this and then they were like phew, gone. And that was my first experience that I remember with what everybody calls aliens, but I call them beings. I have learned to work with beings. I might sound crazy, but I don't really give a shit. Like we're at the point now where here we are, and if you think that we're the only ones that are here, then I'm sorry for you. But I've worked with them for a long time, and it's not something that I talk about openly. So I feel kind of like this is the first time I've kind of talked about it openly.
Well, I feel honored and thank you for sharing it with us. And I'm curious, how was because of seeing those two, is that when you started working with them, or did something else happen that got you started working with them?
Yeah, so when I was 29, my mom passed away. And that's when I kind of started like, I was born with a gift, but I would always talk about it. And my mom would bring me to church on Sunday. So, like, I would tell her about her grandfather, and which was my great grandfather. And I would tell her things about him. And she would, like, put me in church on Sunday. And, like, I did not like to go to church. I was like, what? Where am I? Why are all these people chanting? What are we doing here? So like I was like, this is not for me. And so I kind of stopped saying things, because I didn't want to go to church anymore. And so, excuse me, um, when my mom passed away, it's kind of like I dove deeper into it. Like, where'd you go? Like, I know you didn't leave, kind of thing. So it led me down this rabbit hole of kind of where I'm at right now with my channeling and being able to understand energy as a whole. It I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, especially right now with the energy that we're in with the whole, new earth coming down on the old earth and, just a higher consciousness um, all around. It's like, it's this weird space right now. I feel like there's no veil. So I feel like we're just all kind of intertwined together as one right now. Do you kind of feel like that?
I do, and I like how you put it that the new Earth is coming on top of the old Earth, because my mom watches the Schumann Residence, and she
Oh, me
always
too.
points it out to me, and I'm like, yeah. And so it might explain why it's off the charts, is because there's two Earths merging into one.
And that's why I think we're having the major spikes too. I think because it's, spikes that are off the chart that we haven't seen. It's like, it's because I think that the new earth is here. And, I'm a huge fan of Dolores Cannon, huge fan of her. And like, she was way beyond her time. And she, talks about all of this and talks about this time and space right now and how like you know there's a clear division now. Are you ascending or are you not? So it's like, we're going to start to see the earth too change in a way to match the consciousness. It's like your physical body, right? When you do the work, when you do the inner work, you're going to see it in your physical. So it's like as the new earth comes down on top of the earth, you're going to start to see the physical earth start to change. Does that make sense?
It does, and it's interesting how you talk about the veil almost being like a non-existent, because being a paranormal investigator, I've been picking up and seeing things that I normally don't get, and I'm like, it's almost as if like, yeah, there is no in between anymore. We're just sharing the same space, and it's
Yeah, it's
yeah,
weird, but it's good.
but it raises a question for me, because I know everybody's a choice to go and, however they want to go with their lives, but I always, everybody always says everyone's going to be on the same earth, but it confuses me because it's like, wait, if we're shifting to another dimension here on earth, how are we
It's
seeing and
because it's
interacting with those that didn't? It's like, what's the point of doing it if we're all going to be in the same space?
because eventually we won't be in the same space. Right now, because it's so new, that's why we're all in the same space and time. It's just like, and as far as like the veil, it's like, uh, no matter what frequency or vibration, that you're vibing at, we're all in the same space and time, just on those different frequencies. So it's like, um, until everybody kind of ascends, right? It's going to be a division. You're going to see a clear division of who is woke and who is not, and who is kind of getting it. And you're going to see that clear indication. And it's a little bit scary, I think, to look at what we're doing in the earth right now and comparing it to the downfall of Atlantis. Like, because it's like the same ego is taking over. I feel like the Earth as it took over Atlantis. And, um, I look out at the sea every night, and I know that Atlantis was in the Caribbean. I know that pieces of it still exist. Um, I think that maybe some of the islands that are in the Caribbean are pieces of Atlantis. Obviously, I don't know that for fact, but that's how I feel.
It
I
would make
go,
sense.
it would make sense, right? And I just feel like, knowing from the studies that I do, like with Dolores Cannon and with other spiritual advisors, right? We know that we know that we know that we're not alone, first of all. We know that there are consciousness within each of us, right? And so we're all going to vibe at that different consciousness. And I feel like as I raise my vibration by healing, right? Because how do you raise your vibration? You work on healing. So, like, I know that my visions and my clear conscience, everything is very open right now. And when I go to the sea at night, I'm seeing a lot of different things. I'm seeing, first of all, I'm talking to universe saying, send me, stingrays, or send me shark, or send me whatever, and it's coming. So I know that there is no veil right now. So what you ask for with intention behind it is going to happen. But people forget that there's that spot in manifestation where if you're not believing that it's actually happening to you, you're not going to reach that point of manifestation that you want to reach. Right? Does that make sense?
It does, and I'm kind of curious if we're in the same space because we're learning and adjusting. What will travel be like? Because I have a vision of we're going to be able to, in essence, travel by thought. Where, like, if I say, hey, I want to go to Jamaica, I'm in
Mhm.
Jamaica before I even finish the sentence. Or I want to go to Australia, I'm in Australia before. So, will we be like hovering, so to speak, next to like the planes and the boats for the people who can't
Like a
do that?
teleportation. Well, I mean, I wish I had the definite answer for that, but I could tell you my perception on that. I think
Okay.
that I think that we have portals all around. I think we have very big portals, such as like uh, maybe like in Peru or in Egypt or in any of these sacred spaces, right? That are, I believe that those are big portals, and I think that we have big portals and little portals, and I think that that's how they travel now. I think that's how, if we can figure out where those portals lie, and is it a grid? Is it a crystal grid? Is it an energy grid? Is it an energy grid fed by crystals? Like, to find out what that portal is, I don't know. But I know that that's how other beings travel, is by the portal. Because, like, for instance, I've been sitting down at the water, right, late at night, and all of a sudden, boom, a bright light appears, right? So bright that you can see it reflect off the water, right? Boom, the light's gone. It has to be going through a portal. It has to be, because if they're saying planets are so and so far away. Even if you were going a certain amount of miles per hour, it's still going to take a lot of time, more time than we have in this space and time. So there has to be, how I envision it in my head is like, remember Mario Brothers 3 specifically? And remember Mario Brothers 3 when he would go down the tube and it would be like doo 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 doo, and then it would be like doo 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 doo, and he'd be in like World 3 or something. Like
Yeah.
that's that's how I envision like what these portals are like. It's almost like they're in specific places, so other beings know where to go to hit that portal to go to World 3 or to go to Pleiades or to go to Mars or to go to, wherever you're from, to go to the Milky Way. Like I feel like that there's portals that they travel through.
I wonder if that would be a fun job to sign up for, to be the one that goes into a portal, comes back to
I
the
would do
portal, and
it.
goes, "This is the portal to this place." This, and then
Like a
walks
Google
away.
map it.
Yeah. So it's like you can go, "Hey, I want to go to, like you're saying, Peru." It's like, okay, that's the one for Egypt. That's the one for this place. Oh, there's the Peru.
Literally, yeah, and I think that it really exists. I think that those portals really exist. It's, are you, are you conscious enough to know where, when, and how? And I think that we are. I think that we are getting there. I think that we're starting to say, hey, there's energy here, and energy can be manipulated in a way that is for your favor or for not your favor. And I think that ego is going to be, I don't even know. Like, I feel like the ego is changing the direction of this. Like, I feel like the earth would have expanded its consciousness sooner if ego wasn't so big and loud and destructive.
Right. I agree with that. And here's an idea for you too: is what if it's only one portal per area, and your intention determines where you go?
Oh, so I'd
Yeah.
be in hell all the time. Just kidding.
And that begs the question, if that is how they operate, if you go in, like, say, as a family, and mom and dad want to go to one place and have the intention of the family going here, but the kids want to go somewhere else, do you split in the
Yeah.
portal and go to different places and then meet back up?
Well, I would think, yeah. Because think about it, it's energy, right? So energy is constantly going to split with any decision or, like if you're faced, okay, so if you're faced with a very important decision, you're losing sleep over it, you're, excuse me, thinking about it all the time, right? That energy has to go somewhere, right? So if you're thinking about, am I going to go here? Am I going to go there? Am I going to go here? Am I going to go here? That energy still is going to go there or go here. You see what I'm saying?
Here's another question too: is the veil, I assume, will disappear completely as we reach the next place. So I've heard a lot of people saying that we will be able to see and interact with our loved ones that have passed on. So here's the question: can we portal thinking of that person and the intention of that person and meet them where they are?
Interesting. I feel like that's what I do, right? As a psychic medium, I'm channeling and going to the other side all the time. I personally, for my gift, I go to them. So I don't, like, it happens now, but do you think you mean like we just all are as one? I guess I'm confused.
Well, I'm just meaning, like, if we're talking like you portal to Peru or portal to Pleiades, like
Yep.
you said,
Yeah.
can we portal to the dimension or the world that they're existing on and be like, oh, hey, we finally made it to where we can come to you now. You don't have to come to us.
I see what you
And,
mean.
that's how we're going to be, without the veil because we'll be able to physically go where they are.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but I think you can do that now. I think it's a matter of raising your frequency or raising your vibration to meet at that same frequency.
Yeah, which
Right.
I'm curious your thoughts as a medium with, I'm sure you deal with the astral plane and everything. Do you feel like the astral plane is the new Earth that's coming down and it's going to become the actual reality? Or do you think more of the astral plane is kind of like a proving ground?
I feel like there's not. Oh, good question. I think that I think that there's not going to be. I feel like there's not going to be a veil. So I think eventually everybody, everything, every energies, I feel like we're gonna just all be amongst each other. But again, I think it's gonna be frequency. So it's like it's gonna be frequency. So like if you're vibing down here, it's gonna be like laws of attraction. Whatever else is vibing down there, that's what you're gonna attract. If you're vibing up here, anything that's gonna match your vibration up here is gonna attract.
So
Alien, octopus, human being, you know?
I agree, and I'm curious about that to the degree of you know we're all way showers right now, kind of in a way of showing you like everybody what potential we have.
Sure.
And so I'm wondering, as shifting into the new earth and everything, are the people that are like the mediums going to be helping everyone with learning not telecommunication,
Like
telepathy?
telekinesis. Yeah. So, well, I don't think it's just the psychic mediums. I think it's all of the waves of people that said the Earth is going through a huge transformation right now, and we need to be here as sensitives to help the Earth go through this transition. Right? It's the star seeds. It's the psychic mediums. It's the uh everything. It's the yogas. It's all of the people that are here to help raise the consciousness as a whole. And what's happening is that we're at a time right now where everything is we forget to talk about sacrifice. And nobody likes to talk about sacrifice, but they've been sacrificing for forever. Like nobody's talking about sacrifice. Just because we're not sacrificing our children or sacrificing a lamb, like there's still sacrifice that has to happen. And for you to be able to reach that vibration and that highest consciousness to be able to go to that new world and to ascend into that new world and higher consciousness, you have to be willing to sacrifice everything old, everything that no longer serves you, people, places, things, um, anything, thoughts, anything. You have to leave that in the past. And what happens as humans is we don't want to do that. We don't want to leave, what's comfortable, what we know, even if it's toxic, right? Even if it's toxic, but we still, it brings us comfort. We don't want to leave that. And what's happening is right now is why you're seeing this clear division of who's going to ascend and who's not, is because you're going to see who's willing to say, all right, the old me cannot go with me, so I'm willing to release all of it. I'm really willing to release any attachments to anything that I've had to be able to go into this new earth, to be totally aligned with what your destiny is.
You know, I had a thought that popped in my head as you were describing all of that. It said, and it simply said, the first thing I would sacrifice is the thought that I need to sacrifice something.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. Because as humans, we don't want to fucking sacrifice. We don't. What we want to do is we want our cake and we want to eat it too. Nobody wants to have to sacrifice. Why do we want to have to leave all of this that we work so hard for to go to here, which is totally unknown? Nobody wants to do that, but
Well,
it's
but
necessary for the growth.
yeah, but to me, when I say, not sacrifice anything, is I'm always letting go of old things, old thoughts for new thoughts. So that's not really a sacrifice, in my opinion, in my perspective. And so it's like when you say, we've been sacrificing, for years, it's like, yeah, that notion of, yeah, we have to, like the Bible says, and cultures have said for years, you have to kill something to appease the gods to make the next step. And it's like, that's the notion that's got to go. Because
For
the true
sure.
gods are not sitting there saying, okay, we want your firstborns and you're guaranteed a slot in, the prime
Right.
territories over here on this world.
Yeah, it's more like your ego, your worry, fear, shame, guilt. Those are the things that you have to sacrifice. You have to release, you know, those parts of you, right? Within. Once you release what's within, then the physical can start to catch up with what you're manifesting. But if you're not working on what you're manifesting within, it's not going to develop on the outside world. It's not
Well,
going to create.
right. And we also, I think, an important notion, and I'm going to kind of borrow what you said before we went live for a moment, because I told you I was going to bring it up because it was really cool how you put it, is we have to stop referring to ourselves as eyes and not, as a collective. And by collective, I'm not meaning, we all get around and the lowest denominator is like, hey, we're all going to do this so we can all go together. No, it's we're going to be like minded people working together as a unit instead of saying, I'm a medium, I'm
Right.
a psychic, or I'm an investigator, I'm an author.
Right.
We're not going to have those individual ideas anymore. And
Right.
so this is where your part comes in. We're literally ripping apart at the seams everything about ourselves that we
Yeah.
feel is individualistic versus
That's right.
universal. And we're then going to put back together the universal part on the other side of it. And that's where we're going to be living and moving on from. That'll be our
Right.
new base point, like foundation.
Exactly. It's exactly. And it's gonna be united, but you're also gonna see where the not united is, and then where that isn't, it's going to be picked apart. And it's going to be picked apart until it can come to the light. Like I've always said, like I see now, like, and I have videos from 7, 8 years ago where I talked about this, about, you know, at this time specifically, I talked about how I feel like this is when, right, because in astrology, where the planets are placed right now was like when revolutionary wars or world wars were happening. And I've always said that I don't think it's an actual war. I think it's a war of bringing religion to the light and bringing what's been hidden to the light, and to let people know the truth behind maybe the Bible, or behind, you know, this or that.
Yeah, that's true. And, I always find it interesting how in the Bible, I haven't read it from cover to cover. Never
Hmm.
been able to sit down long enough to do it. It's like I flip to certain parts and be like,
Hmm.
I got the gist. We're good. I could
Yeah,
speak of it. But
yeah,
I remember there being parts, and like one of the big things was we are the sons and daughters of God. Everybody is. And so my mind goes, okay, so we're all divine beings. Then when I go and I look at the world and I'm like, well, this church is telling me I have to go here to commune to my father, but he's not my father. They're telling me second that Jesus is the first and then there's God. I'm like, well, that isn't that in contradiction to your book? And so my mind automatically starts to go, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this system because you're contradicting your holy script. But everyone seems to be okay with that. And I'm like, and they're all like, no, you don't really understand what it's saying. And I'm like,
now I understand clearly what it's
yeah,
saying.
I'm like, I think I
Hmm.
understand more than you do.
Hmm. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think that you're going to start to see people that follow the Bible. I think that you're going to start to see an opening. Like, I have a lot of clients that were raised religious that are now kind of breaking free from that. Not that, I look, believe in what you want to believe in, believe in who you want to believe in. That I would never judge somebody for what they believe in. That is not for me to judge. That's not for anybody to judge. Um, but there is, you know, humanity, right? And I think that some of the things that are said in some of these religious backgrounds are just, if God accepted everybody, then why is there resistance for this or resistance for this? You see what I'm saying?
I do. And I mean, we've had the proverbial wool pulled over our eyes for so long that I think, in my opinion, what's going on now is we're not waking up, so to speak, to seeing, the craziness of what's going on and trying to understand it. Instead, we're waking up to, wait a minute, how have I believed this for so long? And one of the things lately I've been pointing out when people say, we don't blindly believe anything, I go, look at the grass. We call the grass green. Why? Because we've been told it's green. We actually
Because we've
don't
been
know
told.
what color grass is. And
And yeah, it's true. It's so true. And in spirit world, like when I'm channeling, I see colors that I don't see here. So I have to match them with colors that I would recognize or that you would recognize here. Like I see a lot of blue, but it's not actually blue.
and I mean, and with all due respect, I'm not a purist of red is red, green is green, blue is blue. So don't think that, but
Yeah,
it gets a little frustrating sometimes when you go and you're like, you feel like I want something blue, and you go and you look up something and you're like, you have like 100 different choices of blue, and you're like, really? I just wanted something blue. Why is this so difficult? Why are there so many choices?
because it's the programming. I mean, if you want to look at color, look at the rainbow. Primary colors, that's your color. There's your colors.
Yeah.
It's in the
And
rainbow.
one thing too that I find interesting is, you know, we're told we started from dust, and we just appeared, and there was two of us, Adam and Eve, which in actuality, if you read it correctly, there was Adam and Lilith. Lilith disappears and then Eve appears. So don't get me started on that one. But they have two sons. And what does the book say? They married women of other tribes. And I go, wait, where are these other tribes coming from when there was only four people in existence? And they're like,
Africa.
yeah, they're all like, well, there was neighboring over there. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa! There can't be neighboring over there. You said this was the only man, only woman. They had two kids. Where are
Yeah.
these other people coming from to start our race? So this whole story is based on a story that makes no sense. People are just appearing out of thin air, and they're like, "Well, Eve came from Adam's rib," and to me,
Okay.
I feel like, if we're looking at that through the glasses of today, I would say that either Eve is a clone of Adam or genetically engineered from Adam. But either way, it's like I can't help but think Adam and Lilith were the pure humans and Eve was created, not born. And so, do we all derive from genetic manipulation and genetic engineering?
Yes. I mean, I saw a thing on the TikTok about how there's like, and I don't know if it's real or not, but I believe it. I believe anything I read on the internet. So I feel like it was saying how they're finding pieces of plastics in our bones now, like microplastics, like in our
Oh,
bones
yeah.
now. Like
I was
it's
told when
just
I was at a conference in Florida, don't drink the water in Florida because the water is filled with microplastic. And I was like,
I
what?
believe it. Yeah, I believe it. I live in Florida part time, and I buy bottled water. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. I just feel like right now specifically, it's such a weird time, and like I don't know how else to explain it because I feel like there's no words for it. I feel like we're in this in between. Like we're not quite there yet, but we're not there anymore. If that makes sense, we're just in this weird in between of understanding that everything is connected. And when you start separating from that connection, you start to lower your vibration. And that's when you start to be like, well, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah, and so here's an interesting question too for you is we're saying UFOs. I'm sorry, I can't call them UAPs. It just doesn't. It's like no, they're UFOs, and they've been around for centuries, probably even eons. But
Yeah.
we're seeing them now, and one of the things that's kind of interesting to me is going through school. We have looked at all the art pieces. We've read all the stories. We've seen everything going through school. But now that I'm of the mind where UFOs are real and they're out there, whether they're in space or coming from our oceans or the inner earth, I'm starting to now look at art that I've looked at before and going, there's a UFO right there in the art.
There's a UFO in the art. Yeah. And I personally believe that they come from the ocean. I've always said that they've come from the ocean. I believe it. I see lights not only above the ocean, but I've seen lights in the ocean too. Um, there's a lot of weird shit that happens in the ocean, man. Like
Oh yeah.
I know it. Like I've had experiences in the ocean where I live. There's two coves, and there's a cove here and a cove here, and then you walk down, and there's like a platform in the middle of the coves. And I have had actually it was an experience a year ago today that I had, and I was out there snorkeling, and I came back because I got freaked out, and because snorkeling's its own thing, and like I got freaked out, and I came back in, and I was snorkeling and had this interaction with two octopuses. And it was insane, actually. I like reached out my arm and they reached out their tentacle. Like, it was kind of amazing. Um, but right before I saw the octopuses, I had stood up to let some water out of my goggles. And when I went and I looked at where I was, and I was on this side of the cove, I went down, had that experience with the octopus, reached out my arm, it reached out its tentacle. I reached out my arm to the other one, and then they both shot at me really fast. And so, like, I stood up, like, ah, ah, right? And when I stood up, I was on the cove on this side. So I don't know how I got from this side to this side because you would have had to swim out and around. Like you can't just get to this side from this side. You have to get out of the water and walk over, or you have to swim out and around. So like there's been unexplainable shit to happen to me in the water.
Well, and that begs the question that's like I think on everybody's mind, and I'm thinking since you're in sort of the zone, so to speak,
Hmm.
being the psychic medium you are, the age old question of did Atlantis sink or did
I don't think
Stargate
Atlantis sunk.
have it right and it flew to another world?
No, I think Atlantis was destroyed by ego. I think they were cloning. I think they were drilling. I think they're doing all the things that the Earth is doing right now. Like I think that they were drilling into the core, into the center. I think Atlantis fucking went like this. Poof. And that's why I think that there's pieces here in Jamaica. I think there's pieces in Bahamas. I think there's pieces all around.
What do you think about the people who claim it's in like Scotland and in Europe?
I mean, everybody has their own perception. I'm not gonna. I personally don't think that. I think that it was in the Caribbean, um, in the ocean. But people think weird shit all the time. I think weird shit. Mm, do I think the Earth is flat? No, I think the Earth is round. But like, if you think the Earth is flat, that's okay. Like, that's okay. But it's just not what I think.
Yeah, and Jim Edward is talking about the show that I was talking about. It was Stargate Atlantis, where it was a city built by an ancient people, and they travel through portals called stargates, and it's a flying city. Like they can lift it up out of the water, fly to another world, land in the water, or land on land, and the city is a self-contained world, so to speak.
I think that Earth is specifically a school. I think that, my perception of Earth is that I believe in reincarnation. I believe that we reincarnate to learn specific lessons that we need for our soul and to help, you know, the energy as a whole. And so I think that I, I just forgot what I was talking about.
Well, I have a question that might jar your memory a little bit, and that is we're talking about ascending and going,
Oh
to
yeah.
New Earth. The Anasazi people, if you're familiar with them, they are a tribe of cliff dwellers who were here and then no idea what happened to them. There's no bones, there's no bodies, there's no people that say, oh, that's our ancestors. We
Hmm.
moved here. They just completely vanished from the face of the planet. Could that be that they ascended?
For sure.
Or,
I would think so. I would think so. I mean, what happened to the therapeutic people? We're the therapy people. Where are we? Nobody's talking about them either. And the therapy people were the people that were here before the ancient Egyptians. Think about it. Therapeutic. These were the original gypsies, the ones that walked around and talked about reincarnation and explained, you go to heaven and you go to the sun, right? Which is where the sun god came from, because you had to have a protector of the sun, right? The sun god, right? But the sun god also turned into Osiris, Jesus. Like there's so many different names for that sun god. And nobody talks about the therapeutic people.
right. And I've often said that the gods were an ET race. And I know a lot of people don't like the thought of that. But then I look at, you go to Greece and a few of the statues remain of the gods and they look human. You go to Rome and all the statues of the gods have been pretty much destroyed. Why would you destroy them? Could it be because they looked like the Greek gods, who looked
Yeah.
like the Babylonians, who looked
Hmm.
like, and it was showing they were all the same people, different names, and the Romans were like, no, we can't have that. So, because you got to think, as a culture, Rome was about preserving its history
Hmm.
until today. Today, they're like, we'll just wipe it out and build something else out of it and put a sign up that says this was here. It's
Well, I
like,
mean, isn't that what they're doing in New York City though? I mean, look at all the buildings there. Like there's there's so many buildings that are being covered up with, oh, this was built in whatever by a hand and chisel. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
and
No.
St. Louis has a placard on the ground that a friend of mine filmed and brought awareness to that said there was a pyramid here but was destroyed so that they could make the farmland and make it farmable. I was like, wait a minute. You're telling me you had a pyramid and you took it apart so that you could plow the land to make a farm? Really? That was the great idea that you had in that moment? It's
I mean,
like,
it's crazy. America has so much history that like the serpent mounds.
oh yeah.
How come nobody talks about serpent mounds? Nobody knows shit about that.
What we do in the Cahokia Mounds when there there's even talks of like there were pyramids underneath the earth, not the earth, underground in America that have been destroyed to make room for the cities and everything growth. And it's like, what?
For sure.
But what's interesting is we think of our history as being the, say, roughly 1500s with the conquistadors coming through to current is our history of North
Right.
America. And a friend of mine in Australia that writes all these books did a research and found evidence that America was inhabited in BC. We have a much older history equal to the rest of the world
Of
because
course.
the Mississippi is a copper mine. and the copper that was there and all the tools that were there in the mines. He said, if you were here in BC and you left your tools in that climate, they would look like they look today, like the way people found them today. They would
Mm-hmm.
be just left there, and people are like, well, it was abandoned. No, it wasn't abandoned. It
Mm-mm.
was, they shifted to a new main uh, age, so copper wasn't needed as much. So you pack up and you leave, and that's why on the back of Phoenician coins, you find the Mississippi Valley, the Mississippi River. And Phoenicians, as far as we were told, only operated in the Mediterranean. So, how could they know what the
Right.
Mississippi looked like?
Yeah. And I mean, even the Mayans were up through Utah. Like, do they think that these very smart civilizations are just going to stay in their own little spot? No, man.
No, and I mean, and the one that I know is scratching scientists' head, and that they can't disprove that everybody else is looking at is the Nazca lines, because these are only visible from the air,
That's right.
and they have astronauts, they have monkeys, spiders,
Hmm.
all these creatures that don't exist in South America.
Right.
So how did they know what to draw and what to
And
make it
do
look
you
like?
think do you think that the Naztec lines were created by multiple civilizations or just one? Like, because I feel like it's been multiple.
I think the Moabs had something to do with it, because this was a thing that astonished me that nobody ever thought to do, was because they were always the heads. Everybody talks about the heads that are on Easter Island. And
Right.
somebody finally started to dig
And
and
found
was
the
like,
body.
there's a
Yeah.
body here. So
Hmm.
this is a giant. And it's looking at another location where there's giants buried in the ground, looking at them. And Barbara Lamb, when she came on, pointed out that there's even a trident in Chile that nobody talks about that points to Nazca. And my first thoughts was, well, these people are intergalactic travelers. They don't need a roadmap and something to point to where
I
they're
don't think
going.
it's a roadmap. I don't think it is at all.
Well, but then I was like, I started thinking about it and going, well, wait a minute. What if they were here when it was Pangea? And now that everything's broken apart, if you come back, you're going to be like, wait a minute,
Where do
where
I
is the
go?
base? Because this does not look like where we did. Oh, look, there's our trident marker. Okay, there's
There's
where
our
we.
monkey.
And it sounds silly, but it's true, because look at us. Like, we fly by
Hmm.
landmarks and coordinates. And so, and
It could be landmarks. It very well could be.
yeah,
I
and
think that the lines are something that we'll never have real, solid, tangible answers to.
well, and the energy there, somebody pointed out the frequency energies there is different than on the mainland. Like, if you stepped into
Mm.
the animals or the glyphs, it's different from outside. And so
I
I
believe
was
that.
like, I was like, could it be that there's a base operating inside those lines, and that's why they're so perfect and only visible in a certain way, because I mean, we don't have the technology. They even showed like if we were to go out
That's
there and try to
that's
make a
good.
line, we cannot make a line equal
Right.
to what they have. And could it be an energy
Interesting.
barrier? And that's why there's no dirt or no
Right. It
water.
doesn't move. Right. That's interesting because you do. If you put sand or dirt on a plate and put frequency under it, it's gonna create a pattern.
Right.
Interesting. Let's ponder on that. That's
And
it.
so,
No, that yeah.
yeah, and you were talking earlier about UFOs and that you've seen triangular, you've seen all different shapes. Do
Hmm.
you want to talk a little bit about those
Yeah.
experiences?
And sometimes I feel like when I see them, it's not sometimes it's not a solid object. Sometimes it's like it's almost like consciousness. It's almost like a manifestation of energy. So I think people are always looking for the UFO, but what was that dark thing that just went by? Like, so I see squares, I see triangles, um, and you might even see them in the sky and think, oh, that cloud is weird or whatever, but that's not really a cloud.
Yeah, I always notice when it's like a really clear day and there's like three or four clouds in the sky, and I'm like, I feel confident probably three of those four are not clouds.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that we are so programmed to just look up in the sky and say, "Oh, that's a cloud," or "That's a cloud." It's not a fucking cloud, man. It's not. It's like it's it's a consciousness. It's energy. When we realize that everything is energy, and when we can use that energy, that's how you create your life. That's how you create the life you want to live. Everything is a projection of what comes from within. And I think that we forget that sometimes.
And another hot topic that I'm curious your opinion of, and I say hot topic because being a paranormal investigator, it's highly contested right now, is the orb effect.
What's
What?
the orb effect? I mean, I
So
see orbs.
it's what are the orbs? Are they actually spirits? Are they actually entities? Or are they dust or
Okay, let me
lens
tell you
flares?
something.
And so that's what the debate is. What is an orb?
Okay, so let me tell you, I didn't really know or understand orbs until one time, like, I don't know, 15 years ago in Queechee, Vermont. I went to the cemetery and I was just taking pictures, whatever. And like a week later, I was laying in my bed and I was like, oh, I'm just going to look at those pictures, right? This is before I kind of was like into my mediumship. This is before like I started down that rabbit hole. And I'm looking at these orbs and I'm like blowing the pictures up, and it was literally like you could see people's faces in the orbs. I think orbs are energy. I think we could get, or I think you could travel in orbs, right? I think that could be a way of astral projection. I think it could be spirit. I just think it's the purest form of energy, is what I think.
No, I agree. I was just curious, with being a medium, if you come across orbs and got a different feeling and were like, oh, and if you'd be like, oh, let me tell you, this orb is this because of this. And so,
Oh.
and I
I guess
like,
I really never thought to read orbs. I see them all the time. I see orbs all the time. But guess I never thought to be like, and I see orbs in different colors. I've seen red orbs, I've seen green orbs, I've seen blue orbs, I've seen white orbs.
I've seen orbs with numbers in it, and I'm like,
Oh, interesting.
or like you're saying, a face in it, and it's like, yeah, I don't see dust creating this like
I know.
imagery within it or geometry within it. It's like, to me, that goes along the lines of something that created this to be here. And like you're saying, is that could be their ship to travel in, because dust, I mean, you touch it and it just disappears, it just dissolves to
Right.
nothingness. And I feel like I don't see nature going, okay, this dust particle is going to be like a snowflake. We're going to put a 5 in it. This one's going to
Right.
have like 3 eyes and a nose. Let's
Right.
make this one, that it's like something else is creating those. And Jim points out, could it be aliens? And I have a, I've recently come across a theory, because we keep talking about with disclosure, first contact. Everyone's talking about what's first contact going to be like. And I started thinking about it, really, and I'm curious what you think about it this way is, if I'm a star being, say Lyran or Arcturian or Palladian, and
Mhm.
I'm coming down and I'm getting ready and we're like, okay, we're going to announce ourselves. I'd kind of want to know how we would be accepted. So how do you do that? You go down and you could be like a shadow being, hiding in, a corner, watch, observing how we
So
react to things,
yeah,
and
I mean,
show up as
I
like.
agree.
And the other way is, like when we are talking to spirits, we think we're talking to spirits at haunted locations. Could we actually be talking to an alien race? So they're like, so, if
Like
we
messing
try
with you.
and we do this, are you going to be open to this? Or are you going to freak out if we make this, appear this way? And it's kind of like their way of looking at going, okay, how do we do this without freaking them out while we're sitting here going, oh yeah, are we gonna, we're not gonna get freaked out, but then you go into a building and you hear a bang on a wall and you're running out. You're like, yeah, yeah, right. You're
It's
not gonna
true.
get freaked out by an alien. Uh huh.
Yeah. So I, for me, I know that the first time I saw the being was in my bedroom, and I was fucking terrified. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna be real. Like, he was tall and he was skinny and he was like kind of had a smaller head, but he did have big eyes, but they were silver. Um, and he almost had uh like he was really tall and skinny. And he had almost like a long shirt and then long pants. And when I looked and I saw him, he just stood there straight and started. I could hear him talking to me like telepathically, like in my brain. And he kept telling me that there was going to be change that was going to happen. And I'm thinking, I need to go to the hospital. I am not okay. I am not well right now. Like, I don't know what am I looking at. And so I remember seeing it, and I remember getting into my bed and like putting the covers over my head, like, what the hell was that? And then like within a week there was a huge change in my life. And so I was like, oh, okay. I was like, so they're here to help us. And that was the first time I was like, all right, they're here to help us. They're not here to go against us. They're here to help us.
Yeah. I feel like right now it's a mix. There are some that I think are here to feed off of our fears, and
Sure.
I also, there are those that are here to help and everything. And I think one thing that we need to be aware of and conscious of is, when we're doing like what they call the CE5s or going out and sky watching, and trying to make contact. I feel like there needs to be some intentional guidelines to that, because if you're just blindly going out there and going, hey, we want to see a UFO, we want to experience, a UFO. Government agencies have UFOs. They
Right.
can sit there and freaking like park themselves above where you're at and be like, and just watching you and going, look at these fools. They're down there,
Yeah.
saying, oh my God, we're seeing a UFO. The aliens are here. We're so blessed they came to show up. And it's like, and they're up there laughing and going, you guys have no clue.
Yeah. I
Where
mean,
an actual
I think
AT,
that's happening. Yeah.
yeah. And so I think we need to kind of set up a kind of, we don't want the nefarious ETs, we want the benevolent ETs to show up with their
Yeah.
craft. And,
Yep.
and notice, when they show up, are they different? Because, and that's the thing I don't like as well is we all look at UFOs and we're like, okay, there's saucer, there's cigar, and we have shapes that have been documented and seen and triangular. Well, the problem is reverse engineered are triangular as well. So it's like when I hear people
Hmm.
go, oh, I've seen a triangular craft, my first thought is, did you hear it?
Yeah.
Because if you heard it, 9 times out of 10, that's probably one of
It's,
ours. We don't have
yeah.
silent engines.
That's
But if
right.
you didn't hear it,
That's right.
it may be ours because maybe we do. We just don't know we do. But I
It's,
lean more towards, oh, that's probably somebody else.
yeah. It's hard though to tell because our government does have, you know, our government does have technology that they don't talk about. So it is hard sometimes to tell what is or what isn't. And from my experiences, you talk to them, you ask them for help, you ask them to, just like you ask your guides for help, you ask your beings for help too.
Well, I think the other thing that's people need to focus on is discernment of what are you feeling when you're seeing this. If you're feeling fear, that's probably not a UFO you want to experience
Yeah,
and invite into your space, because
exactly.
I'm no, I don't know everything, but I have a strong feeling of if a benevolent race was to show up, and the reason I put it this way is because each race has their own factions both ways. They have both sides, so you can't just go, "Hey, an Arcturian's here. Come on in.
Right,
Let's chat. Let's see what you can teach us," because they may not be the ones that you were hoping for.
right, right.
But
Yeah, yeah,
the malevolent ones, I feel like you will feel like your body will react, and it's almost like when you're afraid, how your body will start to tense up and like
right.
want to
Yeah,
push back. I feel like that's the key, because they can't fake who they are. They can fake what they look like, but they can't fake intentions.
right,
And the body can
right.
pick that up. And so if the body is like, oh no, then yeah, let's say, you know what, change my mind. Sorry to waste your time. I'm going to head this way. You go that way. We're good. But if they show up and you have this like peaceful, tranquil, loving feeling, then yeah, I'd say you're meeting the ones that you're wanting to meet. Those I would say are benevolent, because I personally am of the opinion malevolent spirits that need to feed on fear cannot generate an energy of love.
Agreed. Yeah, Come from a place of love. That is the message of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I just think that we need to be open to understanding that we're not the only ones here and that we can all work together in creating something really peaceful and harmonic and really beautiful.
And I'm kind of a little bit curious if you had time. There was something in your bio that I've never heard of it in the way described. And so I kind of wanted to mention when we were at the hour and we kind of were talking and it's blown by. So are you okay with a few more questions or do you have to
Sure, you
go?
can ask me a question. No, ask me a question.
Okay. You talk about quantum Reiki, and
Mm.
I've never heard the two put together, but I'm understanding quantum as in quantum entanglements, quantum healing. It's like a healing on a higher level range, but
So
Reiki quantum,
regular,
yeah.
so regular Reiki, right? Your traditional Reiki is channeling universe, right? Universal energy, channeling it, healing it, right? Quantum Reiki is where you take all the energy and channel it and send it. So instead of just taking this, I'm taking all of this.
So let me ask you this because I always will say I pull my Reiki energy from the universe or source.
Hmm.
Is that quantum and I just never realized it was quantum, or is quantum on a bigger scale and I'm still kind of
I
still in
think
the basic?
I think quantum is all energy. I think quantum is all energy, right? And I think it's residual energy. I think it's present energy. I think quantum energy is just all of the energy.
So how do you learn to tap into that?
Well, I think it's through classes. It's through, you can take quantum Reiki classes. It's through meditation. It's through, you know, what you put into it, right? It's just like anything where your energy goes, right? It's going to flow. So, like, if you're studying quantum energy or you're studying energy as a whole, you can. I figured out how to channel that energy and then send it.
Okay, so like if I was to say, like, for example, I have a friend who every once in a while needs energy, I'll
Hmm.
be like, okay, I'm pulling in the energy that is their sign, that I feel is their sign, like air,
Hmm.
and then I'm
Sure.
mixing into it like electricity and
Yeah.
different creature energies like
Uh
phoenix
huh.
or bear,
Yeah.
wolf,
Yeah. That's a
whatever their
quantum
attributes
energy.
are,
Yeah.
combine them. So in essence, when I combine them and make them that different energies, then send it, is
Hmm.
that creating like a quantum
Yes.
ball? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, see, I was doing quantum and I didn't even know it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're actually at an hour and 15. And so, is there anything upcoming that you want to promote or anything you got going on that you want to promote, books or anything?
Yeah, I'm writing a book right now actually, but yeah, I'm writing a book right now about the awakening process and like the real awakening. We're not going to sugarcoat it. So I'm writing a book about that right now. I am booking group readings all across the United States. So if you are interested in booking a group reading, I'm doing those. I'm working in Florida right now. We're working on a couple of different programs right now. One is like a wellness program. So there's a bunch of things coming up. I guess you just have to stay tuned.
Well, make sure you follow her along. Follow her along. Well, yeah, you can do that too, but follow
Follow and
and
like.
watch her socials.
And I do go on TikTok sometimes and do free readings. So if you follow my TikTok under Starship Temperance, you can tune in when I do free readings and get a free reading.
Very cool. And so, is there any message you want to leave the audience with? Any thought
Yeah,
or anything?
yeah. I feel like right now is a really hard time for everybody. So um, I think that if you just remember to keep going and to give yourself credit where credit is due, because you do hard things. But the most important message that I could get out there is to just be kind. We're all going through shit, you know? So just be kind. That's it. It's just be kind.
Well, thank you. And before we go, I actually do have a message for you. And I'm not meaning a medium message, I'm meaning a message from my heart and my show to you. And that is thank you for what you do for humanity.
Aw. Thank you for what you do too, because without platforms like this, we wouldn't be able to get the message out there.
Right. And I also want to take a moment and say thank you for trusting me to come on and share all that you did share because I know from experience and from talking with other people that podcasts can be a hit or miss. You may or may not gel and be a positive experience. So thank you for trusting me to come on and share.
Of course. Remember, I have vision. I can feel energy. I knew it was going to be good.
Well, and in future, hopefully we can get you back on. And if you ever have an event you need to promote out, let me know, and we'll see about getting you on and promoting it.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. And we'll go live one time in Jamaica and I'll take it to all the spooky places.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Well, thank you, and thank you to everyone in the chat room, and thank you to everyone who is watching this, will watch this, and if you're asleep, trust me, you're going to want to wake up and watch this one.
Yeah,
Benevolent
just
programming.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes, and have a good night, everyone.
Take care.